Hey everybody, Chris here. Happy Monday to you. I want to give you a little thought on a Monday that has been something I've been carrying with me for probably about the past 20, I would say 25 years. And that is simply a mindset where so many times, especially on Mondays, man, I'm starting another week. It seems like it's hard to get out of bed. The weekend's been another long haul. Now we get into this time and I just need something to get me, not just through this day, but to get my week going. I just want to remind you who you are. Just who you are. There's a constant daily struggle that all of us have, I'll just be honest with you, between the old Chris and the new Chris, between your old self and the new self, the old flesh and the spirit. And whichever one I give into, whichever one I feed the most, that's what's stronger in my life. If I want to give into my old self, my old flesh, my own sin nature, it seems to be kicking my butt, and I'm going to be down, I'm going to feel convicted, I'm going to be robbed of joy, I'm going to be robbed of contentment. On the other hand, when I give into the Spirit, when I feed the Spirit and Christ in my life, man, I'm getting stronger in the fruits of the Spirit and the things of God. So how do you do that? How do you go about your Monday and daily put that into practice? I'm glad you asked. Romans chapter 8. Picking it up in verse 12, it says this. Therefore, brothers and sisters, we have an obligation. Let me tell you now, this obligation we have. This is after 7 chapters of Paul writing, because of what God has done for you, because of Jesus' love, his death on the cross, he cleansed you, he made room for his Spirit to be in you. Now let me tell you, you have an obligation. But it is no longer to the flesh to live according to it. For if you live according to the flesh, the sinful desires, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the misdeeds of the body, you will live, because those who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. You see, you did not receive a spirit that makes you a slave again to fear. You received a spirit of sonship, and by him we can cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now, if we are God's children, we are heirs, heirs of God, and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in his suffering, in order that we may also share in his glory. I love those verses. I love those verses because they go back to a time where the disciples come to Jesus and they say, hey, Jesus, teach us how to pray. And maybe you know the Lord's Prayer, and everyone's, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. But just listen. Jesus, teach us how to pray. And the first word Jesus says is, Abba. Abba. I don't care what you start. I don't care what you want to talk to God about. I don't care if you've got thanks, if you've got joy, if you've got burdens on you now. Just remember, when you start talking to the Almighty, the creator of the universe, the unmade maker, the designer behind the intricate design of life, the original Big Bang that spoke things into being, you start with this word, Abba. It's the same word that Paul picks up in Romans 8. Let me tell you your obligation, Christian. Don't live according to your old desires, your own flesh, your own sin nature. Live by the Spirit of God. And you want to live each day with the love, joy, and contentment of the Spirit of God? You walk each day just saying, Abba. Remember that you are brothers and sisters. You are children of God. You are heirs of God, co-heirs with Christ. That's the Spirit he's given us. Abba is a little different for us because the first words in your household were probably Papa or Dada. It's not anything against Mom. It's due to Mom. Mom's at home raising kids a lot of the times. She's the one teaching the kids about Daddy or Dada. And so one of the first words of most infants or toddlers is Dada, Dada. Well, in the Hebrew culture, it's Abba, Abba. It's the first syllables a little boy or girl would make. Jesus, teach us how to pray. Okay. However you want to start, whatever you want to do with God, just put this word in front of it, Abba, Abba. Remember today that you have a God that is your Father. He's your Dada. He's your Abba. You are his son. You are his daughter. You're a prince or a princess in his kingdom. He cannot, will not ever take his hands, his eyes off of you. You want to walk in the Spirit. Walk throughout your day just sending out little Abba. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what's going on. Walk mindful of who your Father is. That'll start changing your mind, changing your heart. You will walk in the Spirit. And then I tend to stay away from the things that take me away from Abba. Because the joy and contentment I get with him, well, it doesn't compare to anything I could ever try to get without him. Your thought for Monday, remember whose you are. You belong to Abba.